Hello.
For you.
Microphone.
Oh, it's on my. Stay here. You there?
Hello.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay, vaguely now. You've gone very
Vaguely?
faint. Oh, hang on, I've got my earphones. Okay, sorry. Let me just finish off.
Yeah, you got to wrap it up because it's 4 a.m. here.
Yeah, that's right. Going to wrap it up. So what I was getting into is that this whole solipsism thing, because when we look at what's actually going on, then we know that we are creating everything. And it's not like, oh, we're not creating the wars here. We're not creating, all the buildings going up here and then over there. But we're creating how we perceive them. And so we're creating our story. And what we do is due to the perceptive ability that we have, and due to our programs and due to our experiences, then what we do is we build the world around us. Because if we were born into a certain culture and then we go into a new culture, then we are going to be taking our culture into the new culture. That is just a fact. And so therefore we are going to be making projections onto this new culture based on our culture. And this is why you get this thing, oh, I don't like this particular creed, I don't like that particular creed. Well, why not? Because it's a lack of familiarity. When the human being has a lack of familiarity, then it has a certain fear about the unknown. So what I'm saying is then that what we're doing is we are creating absolutely everything. And I've created this, and I'm arguing with myself about humanity. Why? Because that's the story I'm building. That's the story I want to build. That's the story I find interesting. I don't find love and light interesting. I just don't find that interesting, Rachel. And what I find is the yin and yang. I find life interesting when there's a speck of dark in the white, because that's a reality.
That's what makes everything more beautiful. You need that contradiction. You need that
absolutely
dark to appreciate the light. You need the rain to appreciate the sun, the whole thing. And so I get that, but I think that we've taken this conversation to a different level where now it's more empowering rather than just the realization that humanity is shit.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, what have we come to do? We've come to have a certain experience, and we're supposed to be here for self-evolution. And so what we do is then we wallow around in the crud until we decide that there's a way in which we can exit the crud. And then we exit the crud, and we experience a new evolution, so to speak. And it's kind of like when I said wallow around in the crud, I'm envisaging this ancient swamp where supposedly the fishes start merging out onto the bank and miraculously start breathing air and growing legs and becoming fucking reptiles, And so it's this whole metamorphosis thing that we've got going on. We metamorphose on a daily basis, at least evolved people do.
Yeah, that's right. When you say you don't recognize yourself yesterday or a year ago, and it's almost a good thing. Someone talked to me the other night in the restaurant, and he says, "You're so different from last year. You're just so different." He goes, in a good way, He said, last year it felt like you were chasing something, and now it just feels like you're just there.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I think that's a compliment, because if you're not chasing something, it's uncomfortable because we're so programmed to. But if you're just there, it's kind of a place, it's a very humble place of not knowing.
Yeah, the not knowing. And the beautiful thing about it is, you see, the greatest issue that the insecure human being has is the not knowing. And this is why they invent all these stories to tell themselves that they do know. When in actual fact, we don't know nothing about what we are. We don't know nothing about this universe. And so the mind, the ego, the program creates stories.
That's right.
We've got a million stories. But you see, if you put the storybook down and you just say to yourself, I've got no idea what's going on here. Why don't I just open up myself and see what is presented to me?
Yeah.
without any of the biases, any of the programs, any of the fears, and any of the projections. Just look at it. And that's what I've been doing in my nature videos.
Yeah.
I look at what I actually am seeing, feeling, and in the vibration of. And so what you actually do is you're not just looking with your eyes, because the eyes are bullshit. You see,
Yeah, it's
you
true.
don't need eyes to dream. You don't need eyes to fantasize. You don't need eyes to do many things. You
True.
don't need eyes on DMT. And so therefore, the eyes are a fallacy. They're a part of.
Sometimes they can make it worse.
Yeah, because they're deceptive.
They trick you.
If you go with your third eye, if you go with your
Yeah.
intuition, then
Yeah.
that's when your mind and your heart and your soul, they become this trivium, and it's what pertains all the knowledge in the universe. The triangle is a very, very powerful symbol, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the more you look at nature, the more you even subconsciously get in touch with those symbols of sacred geometry in a flower or in so many different things. You can see the same spirals and everything. You can see, and even in a swamp, that beautiful lotus flower comes out of something that's just supposedly shit. And I think that's the beauty of nature, is seeing how beauty comes from. See, we're labeling it as shit. We're labeling it as ugly. It's all human labels. Without labels, it just is. Everything just is.
I think it's just whatever story we want to project onto it.
Yeah, it is.
And
I guess that's the best advice, and even to end on, is make it a good fucking story. Because if I go to a movie theater, I don't want to see a victim story. It's boring. I'll walk out. Why do we go to superhero movies? If we would do a superhero movie where she's like, I can't fly.
Yeah.
It's like, and then she blames everyone else because she can't fly.
Yeah.
No, we don't want that. Be the superhero of your own story, because it's way more interesting.
And that's the thing. We want to blame everybody else for our own ignorance of our own genius.
Yeah. Ooh, write that down. We want to blame everyone else for our own ignorance of our own genius. That's a lot right there. That's a good sentence.
It is, isn't it?
That's
Isn't that beautiful? Where did that come from? But
but don't forget it. It's so good. We want to blame everyone else for our ignorance of our own genius.
Yeah, and you see, once we are in touch with our genius, then there's nobody else to blame.
No.
And it's so emancipating, isn't it?
Yeah, I just said.
And so it's curious, you see, because I can say things like this, and yet I will create discourses which are contrary to what I've just said, because I can be projecting onto the world the things I'm not happy with, because I'm thinking that it's them, but I know it's not them. I know it's all me. And I know in an instant I could change it if I really wanted to, but I don't want to, because I like, there's a part of me, there's a certain facet of me, there's one of my myriad that likes controversy. It likes being belligerent. It likes having a scrap. I've always been up for a scrap, Rachel. I'm a fighter. And so I create fights wherever I go.
And I don't think it's so much fights, because I think that you've been that way with me, but and we can go head to head, but I don't think it's not really fighting. It can be with some people, but not
a jousting.
Yeah, a jousting, which is more fun. And I also think that people, sometimes that adrenaline that goes off in your head, and you can turn it into a real negative thing if you are addicted to news, because it's the same type of fight or flight thing that makes you feel alive, because it's that hormone, that whatever it is, but it makes you feel alive. And I had an ex-boyfriend who was a comedian, and he had a nervous breakdown, and he lost all his anger. Lost it.
Right.
And he goes, now I won't be able to ever do comedy again, because anger was how I got the jokes.
Yeah.
It was like someone took his power away. And I said, well, you think it was the anger giving you the jokes. It wasn't. It gave it more flair that you were addicted to, and you were under this guise that you had to continue under that, or it wouldn't be funny. But when that was taken away, all he could feel was compassion for people. He couldn't make jokes. It was so funny. It was like, he
What
wants
an
to make fun of them.
affliction.
Yes. And he was
Man, I
like,
wouldn't wish that on anybody.
instead of making fun of it, like,
Compassion,
I just have such compassion. And so he's
sympathy.
like looking for the joke. And instead he's like, I just feel so much for them. Like, you cry with them rather than make fun of them. He's like, where's
Yeah,
you?
you're standing in the comedy show, and you look at all the plebs in the audience, and you just start crying and wanting to hug everybody. I love you.
Because it's not, you know, like even the trolls, even the people that are like yelling at you, it's like, instead of like being mad at them, you're just like, I love you. I'm sorry you feel so much pain that you have to heckle me. It's like
incredible.
He came out of it. But what I'm saying is, part of that jousting thing is to feel alive, because I think there's men, for me, I don't get to banter with people on an intellectual level that challenges me unless I challenge them. But now when I'm evolving and I'm meeting more people, a few, like yourself, where we're able to talk deeply and interestingly and still feel just as alive, but it doesn't have to be infused with that story of blame and projection and all that would usually light the fire. The fire's already there. We could be talking about, you know, a twinkly light, or we could be talking about nature or whatever. It doesn't necessarily need to be fueled by that anymore, because when it's not fueled by that, you get into that owning of your own power, your own responsibility, and it still can be jousting, but it's at another level where it feels more like it's fueling you rather than depleting you.
Yeah, invariably, you see, though, the highest level of emotion will derive out of something negative, and we
it's
start
not at the highest level, maybe the most intense level, but
yeah. I mean, the most intense, again, difficult. Where to place this thing? No up and down, no left and right. But that certain vibration, you see, because what we've done is throughout the course of this conversation, started with me venting. We've looked at actually what's venting, why it's venting, and what's the efficacy of this venting, and we've derived then that it's all spirit, and we're just having an experience, and we're just expressing ourselves. And so, because I lend myself to both planes quite equally, I can have a good scrap as well as I can have a good intimate and loving conversation where I consider compassion, as the greatest virtue. I like to mix them up, Rachel, because
of course.
One is boring without the other.
Yes, I agree. And the same way with me, I have to infuse comedy or I just get so glazed over, because it is such a freaking comedy, this whole, and I see it in such a comedic light that even someone commenting on my YouTube channel today saying I'm a paid shill, immediately I'm like, please, how much? I'm in. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny to me, whereas another person would be completely offended. I'm just like, yeah, I guess I'm the Steve Irwin of shills, host an animal show and shill on the side.
Yeah, and it's like this ridiculous troll that I've got. How can I be anything but flattered that somebody has devoted his whole freaking life to me?
There you go. There's all perspective. It really is. It's kind of like, wow, you.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to meet him and shake his hand. He's my greatest admirer. He never stops. It's 24 hours a day. He is admiring me. What a way to go. And so yes, you see, if we transmute our energies.
Yeah.
Or the energy, that's all it's about, you see, because you know yourself, just finally, because you got to get to bed, but
get to bed. It's 4:15.
Yeah. Well, you're going to go to bed, aren't you?
Yeah.
So if we transmute energy, doesn't matter what ever we're thinking about, it pertains to an energy. And so if we look at that and we say to ourselves, hang on, what's going on here? I'm at a certain scale of energy. What do I want to do with this energy? Do I want to embrace it, or do I want to transmute it? Now, if somebody says to me, like trolls, you're trying to set up a cult and you're trying to manipulate people, and you're trying to be all bad things and your energy's bad, then I could accept that and I could project back, couldn't I? I could mirror back, you are this and you are that. But instead I go, thank you. Thank you. Because like someone once said, it doesn't matter what they're saying about you, as long as they're saying something about you, then you have to consider it as a compliment, because more and more people are going to be getting to know about you, and they're going to be forgetting the controversy. They're going to kind of remember somewhere in the distant past there was something, but they're not going to remember what it is. I mean, just look at, for instance, Clinton getting his cock sucked. You know, all of a sudden the whole world knows about Clinton, but, you know, did it ever affect his presidency? In actual fact, it made him more popular.
Yeah, in that situation it did, and it certainly, oh my God. Okay. Yeah, it did, but also it's not just transmuting the energy, it's recognizing it and then deciding, like you said, whether you want to embrace it or not. Whereas, you know, if someone sees you a certain way, like the troll sees me as a shill, I said, or whatever. I've had a couple other people say things about me, and I said, then I am that you see.
Yeah, I'm everything.
No, but I am, because I can't convince you I'm not, because it's you. It's your world. So whatever you call me, I am that to you. So do you want me to disagree? No, I can't disagree, because I will be that to you.
Yeah, that's right. You know, whatever you think I am, then that may be true to you. And if it's true to you, who am I to dispute that? And so,
yeah, exactly. And then I am that to you.
Yeah. You see, how I've diffused the vast majority of people leveling things at me is by using a certain psychology which says to them, I don't believe a single word I say. Because if you say that you don't believe a single word you say, then you can never be expected to stand by anything, you see. So therefore, that gives you a level of freedom and emancipation, because I don't have to comply with certain parameters like people who are much more popular on YouTube. For instance, like Sam Harris and people like that. He's got a program to adhere to, and he's got a parameter in which he can speak into. Otherwise, he won't be accepted anymore. And he wants acceptance. I don't give a fuck whether you accept me or not. Right. So therefore, I can completely emancipate myself from anything I say. And so therefore, if you come at it from that perspective, yes, I am a paradox. No, I don't believe anything I say. Then the only option, Rachel, is for people who want to stick around, is they just listen then without bias.
Right, exactly. The only I don't know how I won this guy over, because like, the only thing where you can call me anything and I can say, yeah, maybe there's a part of me that is that. And if I'm that for you, then I'm that for you. But, you know, when I got called a tranny.
A tranny, really?
Oh, yeah, 100%. He goes, hey, and his name was Jesus is Satan. That's his YouTube name.
Oh, there you go. What else can you expect? Yeah,
exactly. I said, well, you see, in your world, Jesus is Satan, so maybe I am a tranny. Like, you're not seeing things pretty clearly. But I said, you know, first I tried to fight it, and then I was like, this is stupid. Is that how you see me?
Absolutely, then it's preposterous.
And absolutely, he just keeps. And I just said, it's just interesting, the projection that you need to see dick all the time.
Yeah, and but also, you see, with these trolls, what they do is they use controversy to affect you, and that's their game. And so therefore, if you're not affected by it, then you look at it as an interesting thing. And it's interesting from a perspective that somebody may have this variety of perspective on the world and on you.
Yes.
And you look at them and you think, what journey have they had
that they need to write exactly,
which enables them to arrive at that position? It must have been a wild ride. Wow, I'd like to analyze this guy.
Yeah,
if it was a troll, it's kind of like, what journey brought you to wanting to be a troll to get attention from other people, even though it's bad attention? It's like a child that's abused.
They
still want the abuse because it's better than nothing.
They're used to that, exactly. And it is best to just not comment, but when I'm a comedian too, so there's so much fun for
have
fodder.
fun with it.
Oh God, exactly. I just said you should see me in heels when I sing karaoke if you think this is tranny.
Yeah.
I'm like, I said, honey, if I ever had a penis, I wouldn't let it go.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah. And so if you are a tranny then, or transgender or whatever, then, way to go. Best
Right?
of all worlds.
Well, the thing is, when he said that she's a tranny, another guy who didn't know me went, well, that's okay. I love her in either way. And I was like, no, I'm not. He had like other people.
Well, that's okay. I love him either way.
Exactly. That's what he said. I love him either way. Oh my God. I was like, now he has other people believing I'm a tranny. It's all good. It's fine. It's fine. Because maybe I'll get more work that way. Hell, I always thought I needed to be a man in this business anyway.
Yeah. And so
the best of both worlds.
on that note then.
Yeah, on tranny, it's 4:20.
Yeah, you're tranny. It's 4:20 a.m. And
you're a tranny.
Tranny. Is that going to be your new name now instead of spinning?
No, tranny granny.
The spinning tranny.
Tranny granny.
Yeah, so I'll catch up on your videos.
Yeah, it's about time. You owe me about 2.5 years of videos. I just sit through yours.
No, I don't, because I've watched every single one of them before.
Well, there's about 5 you have to catch up on of me.
Yeah, that's right.
Talking to my car.
Yeah, so I'll spend some time on those today and this evening.
Yeah, good.
And so another great conversation.
And you'll find it funny that in my own video before our conversation, I spoke a lot of the same stuff we talked about.
Right.
So ironic or not.
Yeah. But is it ironic? Because you've created this here.
I know.
Anyway, and so I've created it also, and so it just so happens that whatever we're creating,
bump stars.
We find it useful to have a relationship with each other. And that's the thing, isn't it? And it's like entangled particles. We're the same thing, Rachel. And so we want to play at this game. And so we look around, who can we play with? But there's very few people out there. So we end up playing with ourselves. And we end up projecting. I've created a female version of myself to play with.
Exactly, that's what it is.
You have done the same, isn't it?
I know, it is. It totally is.
We've created fucking replicas of ourselves just so we can have this banter. But they've got to look a little bit different. So we changed the gender.
Well, not really. Apparently,
not even done that on this one.
It's, you know what? You should put a skirt on, and there you go. Maybe it's just tranny fanny, I guess. Yeah, didn't even do that right.
Yeah, so it's all good as long as we can have a laugh, and we do.
Yes,
we have a laugh at the absolute absurdity of it, and it's the absurdity that makes it so compelling and interesting. Because if it didn't have all this controversy and diversity and all this stuff, it would be boring. It would be like heaven. You see, heaven, that's got to be hell. They've got it upside down. We know they've got the whole world upside down. If the lion lays down with the lamb and everything's hunky-dory, there's nothing going on, is there?
That's why they changed it. That's why they changed it to wolf shall dwell with the lamb, because there's no more lion in the lamb anymore.
Yeah, so, thank goodness for the yin and yang. That's the spice of life, and so we just embrace it. We just play with the game. We toy around with it, and as long as we don't consider it to be so real and immerse ourselves into it in a vibrational way.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Whereby it's going to affect us in an adverse way. You see, this is the whole thing. This is the whole thing about being a wizard, isn't it? It's about how to deal with the energy. Because we know this is all energy, and we know that the energy comes in various guises, different vibrations. And so what we do is then we learn to intuit these different energies. We learn to perceive them through whatever senses we've got, and then we learn to transmute them. And so this is the whole thing about the Philosopher's Stone. This is the greatest secret that humanity has to get its head around. It's how to transmute energy. Nothing to do with lead and gold.
Yeah, I'm going to think about that one this week, transmuting energy. Look up some stuff about that, because I could learn more about that and be intrigued.
Yeah, well, we could do a separate conversation, because, you know, I can talk about that one for hours.
I like it. Let's remember that one.
Yeah. And so do you remember then that one-liner that I said? I've forgotten it already. It wasn't me who said it.
Okay, let me try to think. It was, we get tired, we're frustrated with our ignorance of others.
Ignorance of our genius.
Yeah. But there was ignorance, there was genius, and there was a third word. We get angry.
Angry, tired, frustrated.
Ignorance. We get frustrated at others' ignorance. No, I should have written it down. Well, you can rewind this.
Well, yeah, I guess it doesn't matter what the...
It does, because it's the best sentence, and it would be really good for me to say it again this week.
Oh, okay. So anyway...
We blame others. Oh, this is it. We blame others for their ignorance. We blame others for our ignorance of our genius.
We blame others for our ignorance of our own genius. Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I think we blame others for our ignorance of our own genius. No, it was close to that. We're really close, but that wasn't it. We blame others for their ignorance of our genius? No, it wasn't that. It was we blame others.
No, we blame others for our ignorance, isn't it?
Yeah, we blame others for our ignorance of our own genius.
Yeah. And
that was it.
So I think that should be my epitaph. That should be on my tombstone, because that's probably the most profound thing I've ever said.
It was pretty good.
It sums it up. It really does sum it up. And so maybe I could make a video.
Yeah, we're projecting onto the world, and we're angry at others. We blame them when it's really our problem for not owning our worth.
Yeah, well,
we blame others for we're putting everything on the world instead of saying, let me step into my genius, my power.
We see, if we are the all, be all and end all, we are pure consciousness and we are everything, then therefore what we've done here, we've created this game for us to play in, and we're blaming the game we've created. Isn't it? You know, it's
so deep, man.
Yeah, we create a game to entertain us with, only it frustrates the hell out of us, and we end up ripping the fucking board up and throwing the stuff all over the place. That's ridiculous.
That's kind of like building a house and going, this place sucks. Why'd I put the couch there? Why'd I put that there? Like you created it, and then you're pissed off at it. But you know what? That's deep. That's for people who are aware that they created it.
That's right, and so
they take the victim consciousness, like life happens to them, not through them.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful to realize that we are at such an ascended level, because to comprehend and coin things like this, and to have this level of conversation that we do, it's a remarkable achievement, Rachel. It really is, because it's 1 in a million.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, you can get a lot out of people, but it isn't until 2 people have taken their own journey and done self-reflection that they are able to come to this self-awareness of it's egoic and humble at the same time.
Yeah, and so then, because we've traveled such a path and we've experienced so many things, then we become frustrated with the world about us. Again, with that which we are projecting onto our fellow man. I guess it's a bit like being a river and having a certain consciousness of a mile up the river, reflecting on a mile down the river, and you got something to say about the river a mile down. Well, I mean, it's you. It's the same river, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And so therefore, then again, it's just another wacky paradox. And so what I'm doing now, upon reflection, I'm being angry at my own stupidity.
But you can't be, because you created it on purpose for yourself to go through it so that you'd know what the next step is to take. Yeah, you needed that.
Yeah, but then you see, like I said earlier, the reason why I am projecting this discontentment with the world about me, it's because I'm discontented with the level of evolution that I'm at now. So therefore, I have to create something which is going to coerce me into making those other steps, because I've become lazy, Rachel, a bit like you. I don't want to leave here, really. Even though I've only got a couple of things to pack, I've got to get on the train for 4 hours. Oh, fuck that. It's ridiculous. It's perfectly preposterous. It's a small smidgen of time within this life. And, it's so preposterous, because everything I do these days, before I launch upon it and after I've done it, I know that there has been no in between. And I've been doing it for so long that I know there's no time. Because, for instance, like if I want to go to the supermarket to get some shopping, I go, okay, I'm going to go to the supermarket. It's 2 miles and it's going to take me like 20 minutes and the wind's blowing and, I'm going to suffer on the way. But then when I get back and I'm walking in the door, I say to myself, do I feel like I've suffered? Well, no, I don't even feel like I've been there. This is how peculiar it gets. I'm only inventing that in between, Rachel, because I'm projecting that onto it. I'm creating an imaginary story. When I'm going there, I'm absolutely in the now. I'm present, and I'm not feeling anything else at all. I'm not feeling that I'm 1.2 miles into it. I'm 1.5 miles into it. Oh, I've got 0.5 miles to go. I'm not thinking about any of that. So therefore, then I'm not fulfilling that projection which I made.
That's right.
So when I come
we live most of our lives.
I'm back in the now, Rachel, because I've been in the now all the fucking time. There was no lineage. There was no time, and there was no miles.
Exactly. And I wish we could live from that space all the time, because a lot of it is I don't want to do this because I have the idea of what it will be like, and I project onto that, so I have control and I can make a decision of yes or no. But if you know what it is, and if you know you need to go, it's just, thinking about it can make it a lot worse, because it's just too much.
Often we're creating problems.
Thinking too much about it. Best decisions I ever made in my life were quick.
And you see, whenever we don't want to do something, what we do is we think about the whole duration of the thing that we don't want to do, and we create a heightened level of suffering to it.
I know. Just like even stand-up comedy will be freak the hell out of you if you think about it. You just have to go do it. You just go and you do it.
Yeah.
You just do it. It's
and then
so,
if you break it down into increments in your mind of seconds, second, how devastating can 1 second be?
Not at all. Not at all.
It's so only going to become devastating when you create the illusion that the seconds are joined up.
It's all here.
Yeah.
All the drama is there. Nothing's real.
This is the sort of conversation that I want to continue with, because this is the spice of life. It really is so fulfilling to my soul.
It is.
It's the deep-rooted psychological perspective of things. I'm not interested in talking about hearsay, about Nephilim and Illuminati and all this stuff.
No, I know. I get that, because we're getting to a different level with that too, because we've already visited that.
Yeah, it's something that we can never know. There's only ever conjecture out there. There's only ever speculation. The history is so very, very flimsy, either way, for it or against it, all this sort of thing. But if we can look at ourselves and ask questions, existential questions, What
Mm-hmm.
is it that I'm doing? Why am I
Mm-hmm.
thinking this? Why am I feeling this? And all this sort of stuff. That's beautiful. And this
And
is,
feeling better about this shift, knowing that what you did before you needed to do to get you to this ascension, to this next level.
yeah, don't ever consider that anything that you've ever done was something that you should have avoided. No,
That's right.
it was all unavoidable because it necessitated the person that you are now.
Well, you know, it's just like if you have the visual of crossing a pond and there's some rocks, and then you step on that one and your foot slips a little bit, you go, oh, I shouldn't do that rock. I'll do this one. That's a smarter rock. That's a better rock. You don't sit there and judge the fact that you slipped on that rock for fucking 2 days. You don't even think about it again. You
Yeah,
just went, oh, that rock didn't work. This one's better. And you go forward.
that's
You
right.
don't ever think about that rock again. And yet we do, because we're so fucked up and because we have this ability to judge and beat ourselves up. You can't just go, no, it looked like it was okay, but you slipped on it. And so that's not the good rock that one is, but you couldn't have known that without slipping on that rock.
And so
That's
when we
simple.
lay in bed at night then and we relive this slipping on the rock, we relive letting out a fart in a business meeting and feeling totally embarrassed with ourselves or, doing something like this, And
Yeah.
what on earth is all that about?
Oh my
What is it?
God. I don't regret
It has to,
anymore when I go to bed. I just think I didn't do enough.
yeah, it has to be a mind virus that keeps wanting to drag this stuff with it. Have you ever seen this film? It's with Robert De Niro. And it's based in Italy, and he was one of two brothers, and it was a religious sort of film. And what happened is he had a wife in this film, in this peasant village in Italy, and he went out to work, and he forgot something. He went back, and he found his brother in bed with his wife. So in a fit of rage, he killed the brother. And so then what he wanted to do, he wanted to make atonement for himself. And so he went to the Catholic Church and
Good.
he enrolled in this church and he took on board this self-punishment. And what he created for himself was to tie, say, like 50 huge cooking utensils to this rope or net, and then he had to drag it through a forest and over ravines and up mountains to this monastery, which was like 50 miles away. And he was absolutely desirous that he needed to punish himself every step of the way.
Yeah.
Now, this is what we do in our mind. That's a metaphor for what we do every single day in our minds, isn't it?
Really is. It
Punish
really is. I
ourselves
think I
every
do.
step of the way because we consider that we've made irreconcilable mistakes. We've done things that we should have been smarter or wiser not to do. Why is it that our mind gives us this misconception of the life that we're living? Why doesn't our minds be much more in acceptance that this is what it's all about? This life is about making mistakes. We make the
Well,
mistakes because it gives us the opportunity to learn. So
well,
why
yeah.
punish
I mean,
yourself for making mistakes?
well, it's because it's a program. It's a program. Even when you're a little kid, it's
Uh-oh, lost you again.
That wasn't a mistake. It was a misadventure. You had a different adventure. And if you looked at it like an adventure rather than a mistake, and I don't lay in bed thinking about mistakes. I honestly every night go to bed going, I did not get a quarter of the shit done I needed to get done.
Mm.
And I don't think that as a job where I'm getting paid. I think like, of all the levels I want to live my life at, I didn't get a chance to read this one thing I wanted to read, this inspirational book. I really wanted to send out a card to my friend today. I really wanted to like certain then basic stuff like 3 more loads of laundry I needed to do and I needed to pack for tomorrow. Like it's more just shit that I needed to get done that I didn't get due. I don't look at things anymore in regret.
Yeah. Well, again, looking at the language that you use in stuff that you needed to get done.
I know that's regret, right? That I didn't do it.
Yeah, so you've got regret and things that you needed to do. Therefore, there's an
Yeah,
external
and instead
pressure.
of saying you did enough, it's enough, Rachel. It's enough what you did
Yes, so
today.
therefore you have to accept that you are enough, and whatever
Yeah.
you can comfortably do in any given day, it is enough.
Yeah.
And instead of going to bed traumatizing yourself, reciting all the things that you never managed to do. Hey, there's tomorrow.
Well, it is tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, there isn't tomorrow. It's all now.
Oh, now you can get deep. I'll remember this when I keep you up late. I'll be like, it's just now. It's just now.
Yeah, it's not late. It's just now, Rachel.
Oh, you're right.
Now.
The sun's going to come up in half an hour.
Yeah.
Right.
What time would you normally sleep to?
Well, 10 a.m.
Yeah. Okay, so
Now I have
that's
to sleep till
75.
noon at least.
Yeah, till noon. And so,
Yeah.
okay, so go and get your beauty sleep.
And my
And
tranny sleep. I got to take off all my tranny makeup, my tranny dress.
take all your tranny gear off.
And you've got a lot of videos to catch up on. I think I have like 6 that you didn't see so far, which is about 10, 15 minutes a piece. So that'll take you pretty much. Yeah, you got some work to do.
Yeah. I look forward to every minute of the nowness I'm going to be spending whilst
Awesome. Awesome. All right. I will speak to you soon. And namaste.
Yeah.
Namaste.
And so
Namaste in
Rachel now continues on orbit, going out into distant space, whereby she'll be flying back round again whenever the gravitational pull is strong enough to lure her in. I mean,
I was going through such withdrawal. I couldn't take another day. I was going to start.
This is another metaphor, and there's so many metaphors, because the way I see you is the energy I feel from you, and I know that what will bring you back is when the gravitational pull between the two of us is too strong to keep you in orbit. That's when you'll come back. And then once that gravitational pull has been satiated and you've built up a momentum, you see, it comes round like this, Rachel. It comes round, it gains its speed and its momentum, and then it flies out back again. And so this is what you do. You come back for energy. You come back for your batteries to be recharged so you can continue on your butterfly in orbit around all these things that you do. Isn't that beautiful?
That's really good.
So,
really
I mean, a butterfly, there's another metaphor. You come to taste the nectar of this particular flower every so often. And you see, you can't come to reap the nectar every single day because there will be nothing new. There hasn't been time for it to be produced. So therefore, you've got to leave it a certain period of time until it's...
I feel that with many other people, but I feel like you and I could probably talk every day and never run out of topics to talk.
I think that's true.
So I think that's part of it. I think it's allowing myself the time. So I did it in the middle of the night, but allowing myself the hour, 2 hours, because I know when I ever speak to you, it's not going to be a 15, 20-minute conversation. It's going to be way more than that.
It always ends when we're exhausted. And that's the only thing that stops us talking, when one of us becomes exhausted due to the hour.
Well, exactly. But when you think of that, and that's not really an inspirational feeling to go, oh, I'm really tired. I'll talk to Aaron so I can get more tired.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to end up being tired. One of us is.
Yeah.
But it's still fine. It's just finding those the hours in the day to do it.
And so we do it. We're still doing it. And
still doing it.
Yeah.
And Zoom.
And so it's all good.
It's way better.
Yeah. And so once again, then get that beauty sleep that you are so. You're so
careful.
Yeah.
Because sometimes.
Yeah, I started on something and I'm hanging myself. I'm hanging myself.
Loose lips sink ships, my grandpa always said. Loose lips sink ships.
That you so deserve.
And maybe I'll know in a week if my show's picked up, and maybe I won't. But either way, let's stay in the know.
Either
And
way, you're still going to be all that ever has been, is, and always will be.
That's right.
Who gives a fuck?
Who gives a fuck is right. Who gives a fuck is right. I'm going to leave this meeting. That's what it says in the right corner.
Yeah.
All right. Count of 3.
So, love and light.
Love and light.
Just another paradox.
Email me or something after you've watched all my videos. You might have learned something.
I will.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Okay, bye.